The classical viewpoint of language processing in the brain, and that's sort of more than 100 years old, is that Broca's area in the frontal part of the left hemisphere is involved in language production, and that Wernicke's area at the temporal cortex of the left hemisphere is involved in comprehension. That's true and not true at the same time. Why? Well, we see that Broca's area is involved in language production, and when you have a lesion in Broca's area, you have problems in producing a correct sentence because the grammatical information is missing. You are speaking in a telegraphic style. However, the information you need in order to build a grammatically correct sentence is also relevant for comprehension. So when you present patients with a lesion in Broca's area with sentences that require the processing of syntactic elements in order to do a correct interpretation, for example, a passive sentence, the boy was kissed by the girl, these patients usually interpret the sentence the wrong way because they don't see in a particular sense, they don't process the function words. So they don't process the by, they don't process the auxiliary that gives you an indication that you are in a passive sentence. This means that syntactic knowledge is not only missing in production, but also in comprehension. Ergo, Broca's area is involved in syntactic processing, not only in production, but also in comprehension. Now, what's the role of Wernicke's area? Wernicke's area is a large area, and the patient lesions of Carl Wernicke, who has first described this deficit, are large in the temporal cortex. I think in the temporal cortex what we have to differentiate is syntactic and semantic processes. When you have a lesion in the middle portion of the temporal cortex, that is in the middle temporal gyrus, you have word-finding problems during production. I mean, you say, instead of the words you need, you say the thing and we was that called, and I had the name. So it's pretty clear that those patients have problems in finding the particular words in production. But Wernicke aphasics are known for their deficit in comprehension. When you look at the comprehension performances of these patients, yes, they have a problem in comprehending, but it's not so clear whether that's due to comprehension in general or to the fact that they are not able to comprehend particular words and their meanings. They are not perfect in processing syntax, which sort of has been solved as a problem later on because it was shown that those patients that have lesions in the temporal cortex, when the lesion is large enough to include the anterior portion of the superior temporal gyrus, they also have syntactic problems. And we have seen that the anterior portion of the superior temporal gyrus in normal subjects is indeed involved in syntactic processing. So there is converging evidence for taking different aspects of the temporal cortex as processing different aspects of language. So when looking at the classical distinction between Broca's and Wernicke's area with respect to production and comprehension, I think these days one would rather sort of draw an orthogonal line saying that Broca's area is involved in syntax, both for comprehension and for production, and that the middle portion of the temporal cortex is involved in lexical processes, be it in production and comprehension.